All right, so welcome to another deep dive, everybody. Today, we're going to be tackling something that might sound a little like a contradiction at first.
Yeah.
Turning vulnerability into emotional strength.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be looking at a YouTube video for this deep dive, and it's called "Transforming Vulnerability into Emotional Strength"
Okay.
from the channel Inner Balance Blueprint.
Sounds interesting.
I know, right? It's a fascinating take, especially since, I feel like we're always being told to just like toughen up,
Right, yeah.
hide our weaknesses. And this video is kind of like flipping that whole idea on its head.
It really is. It is. And you know what's so interesting about it is that instead of seeing vulnerability as this like liability,
Right.
it's arguing that it's actually like a key ingredient for building trust.
Okay.
And deepening relationships. Like, think about it, when someone lets you see their authentic self, flaws and all, it shows a level of confidence and willingness to connect that a perfectly curated persona just doesn't convey, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally get that. But to be clear here,
Yeah.
we're not talking about like oversharing, right?
Right.
Or being inappropriately revealing.
Definitely not. No, the video defines vulnerability as really like the willingness to be open and honest about your emotions, even the tough ones. It's about acknowledging your imperfections and just recognizing that you don't have to have it all figured out.
Yeah.
And emotional strength, in this context, that means the ability to navigate those feelings effectively without letting them, like, control you.
So can you maybe give me like an example of how someone might actually like practically apply this?
Sure, yeah. The video actually gives a great example of a woman named Emma who made this major career change. And it was a huge risk for her.
Right.
She had all this self-doubt.
Yeah.
But, instead of letting those feelings paralyze her, she used them as fuel to kind of like push forward,
Wow.
And she acknowledged her fears to her new colleagues.
Oh, wow.
Which surprisingly made them more supportive and helped her build like strong relationships right from the start.
So her vulnerability actually became a source of strength
It did.
in that situation.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see how this could be like a real game changer, but I do wonder, like, doesn't opening yourself up, in that way make you more vulnerable to being hurt?
Yeah.
Or even taken advantage of?
That's a valid concern, and the video acknowledges that,
Right.
there are risks involved.
Yeah.
But it argues that the potential rewards outweigh those risks.
Yeah.
Because by building these genuine connections, you create this like support system
Right.
that can help you through those tough times. Plus, the emotional resilience you develop through embracing vulnerability makes you less likely to be like thrown off balance by challenges.
Okay, this is already making me rethink my whole approach to, well, pretty much everything.
I know.
But before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's kind of break down some of the like key benefits of embracing vulnerability that the video highlights.
Okay.
What are we looking at here?
So there are several, and some of them are, I think, pretty surprising, like we were just talking about. Stronger relationships, that's a big one, right?
Yeah.
But beyond that, the video argues that embracing vulnerability can actually lead to improved mental health.
How so?
Well, by acknowledging and processing our emotions,
Right.
we're less likely to kind of bottle them up and let them fester.
Yeah.
And this can lead to reduced stress, anxiety, even depression.
Wow.
It's like finally letting go of a heavy weight that you've been carrying around.
So it's not about pretending everything is okay all the time.
Nope.
It's about accepting the full spectrum of human experience.
Yeah.
Even the messy parts.
Exactly. And it's important to note here that the video isn't advocating for like wallowing in negativity. It's about acknowledging those feelings, understanding where they come from, and then figuring out how to manage them effectively.
So this is where emotional intelligence comes in.
Yes.
Because the video mentioned that
Little.
that this plays a key role in turning vulnerability into strength.
It does, yeah. Emotional intelligence is like, it's like having this superpower when it comes to navigating your inner world, right? It's the ability to understand and manage your own emotions and being attuned to the emotions of others.
Okay.
And the video's argument is the more emotionally intelligent you are, the better equipped you'll be to handle those vulnerable moments and even use them as opportunities for growth.
So you're saying that emotional intelligence helps you take those like raw, vulnerable feelings and transform them into something positive.
Precisely. It's about learning to respond to your emotions in a healthy way,
Right.
rather than reacting impulsively.
Okay.
And the more you practice this, the more resilient you become. It's like building muscle, but for your emotional well-being.
I'm starting to see how this all fits together. But I have to admit,
Yeah.
I'm still a bit apprehensive about the whole vulnerability thing. Like, it sounds great in theory,
I get it.
but how do you actually put it into practice? Like, what were some tangible steps that
Yeah.
people can take to start incorporating this into their lives?
That's where the video gets really interesting. It offers like this toolbox of strategies that
Okay.
anyone can use. And I think you'll be surprised by how practical and applicable they are.
Okay.
The first step the video highlights is self-awareness.
Mm.
So knowing your emotional landscape, what your triggers are,
Okay.
how you typically respond to them.
So it's like taking a personal inventory
It is.
of your emotional patterns.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. Like, if you know what to expect from yourself,
Right.
you're better equipped to handle those feelings
Exactly.
when they come up.
Yeah. It's about recognizing that you have these patterns,
Right.
not judging yourself for them, and then figuring out how to navigate them more effectively.
Okay, but what about those times when we just feel completely overwhelmed by emotion?
Yeah.
What do we do then?
That's where the video's suggestion of mindfulness techniques comes in.
Okay.
Practices like meditation or even just focused breathing can help you stay present and grounded when things get intense.
I've tried meditation before,
Yeah.
but I always struggle to quiet my mind.
Yeah, it's tough.
Any tips for a beginner like me?
The video actually suggests a specific technique called box breathing, which can be really helpful for managing emotional responses. You basically inhale for a count of 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold again for 4.
Okay.
It's simple, but surprisingly effective at calming your nervous system.
That sounds easy enough.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to try that next time I feel myself getting stressed. But what about those, like, deeper issues
Yeah.
that we might need a little extra help with?
The video talks about that too. It specifically mentions cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, as a powerful tool for understanding the link between your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors.
I've heard of CBT,
Yeah.
but could you maybe give me, like, a quick rundown of how it works
Sure.
and how it could help someone dealing with vulnerability?
Yeah. So CBT is based on this idea that our thoughts influence our feelings, which then influence our actions. So if you have like a negative thought pattern, like I'm not good enough,
Right.
that can lead to feelings of insecurity and vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
CBT helps you identify those negative patterns and challenge them
Right.
with more realistic and positive thoughts.
So it's like rewiring your brain
It is.
to think more constructively.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And the video gives an example of how this could apply to vulnerability. So let's say you're afraid to speak up in a meeting because you're worried about what people will think, right?
Yeah.
CBT would help you examine that fear, challenge the thought that everyone will judge you negatively,
Okay.
and replace it with a more balanced perspective.
That's starting to click for me.
Good.
But I I do wonder, does all of this apply to everyone? What about people who are naturally more introverted or sensitive?
Yeah.
Is it realistic to expect them to suddenly become
Right.
like super open and vulnerable?
That's a great question. The video emphasizes that embracing vulnerability doesn't mean you have to become an extrovert
Okay.
or share your deepest secrets with everyone you meet. It's about finding a level of openness that feels authentic to you.
So it's more about being true to yourself
Yes,
than trying to fit into some external mold.
exactly. And the video suggests that even small steps towards vulnerability, like, let's say, sharing a personal anecdote with a trusted friend or colleague,
Right.
can make a big difference.
That's reassuring.
Yeah.
It makes this whole concept feel a lot less daunting.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, facing those deep-seated fears and insecurities
Oh, yeah.
can be really scary.
It can.
What advice does the video give for overcoming those hurdles?
Well, one thing it emphasizes is the importance of self-compassion.
Okay.
So instead of beating yourself up for feeling vulnerable,
Right.
try to treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a friend
Yeah.
in a similar situation.
So it's like shifting from self-criticism to
To that.
self-support.
Exactly. And the video argues that this shift can be transformative. When you start to see your vulnerability as a normal part of being human, you're less likely to judge yourself harshly.
Right.
And that can free up a lot of emotional energy to focus on growth and healing.
That makes sense. What other tools does the video suggest?
The video mentions the power of inspiration, like looking to people who have successfully navigated their own vulnerabilities and come out stronger on the other side.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
It's like having those real-life examples to show you that it's possible. Do you have any personal examples of people who inspire you in that way?
Absolutely. I think about Brene Brown,
Oh, yeah.
the researcher who has dedicated her career to studying vulnerability.
Yeah.
Right. Her work has helped millions of people understand and embrace their imperfections. And I find her story incredibly inspiring, especially since she initially struggled with the idea of vulnerability herself.
It's reassuring to know that even the experts have their own struggles.
You do.
It makes this whole process feel a lot more relatable. But, let's face it, vulnerability is often stigmatized in our society.
It is.
How does the video address that challenge?
It argues that we need to challenge those societal norms that equate vulnerability with weakness.
Right.
We need to create a culture where it's okay to be open about our struggles
Yeah.
and support each other through difficult times.
It's like we need a collective shift in perspective.
We do.
Instead of seeing vulnerability as a sign of weakness, we need to recognize it as a sign of strength
Yes,
and courage.
absolutely.
That sounds like a pretty tall order.
It is.
Where do we even begin?
Well, the video suggests that one of the most important things you can do is to seek out and build a supportive network of empathetic individuals.
Okay. It could be friends, family members, a therapist, or even a support group.
I can see how having people who understand what you're going through could make a huge difference.
Oh, yeah.
What other practical steps can people take?
The video highlights expressive writing as a powerful tool for exploring and processing your emotions.
Okay.
It could be journaling, writing poetry, or even just jotting down your thoughts in a notebook.
I've heard that journaling can be therapeutic,
It can.
but I've always struggled to make it a consistent habit.
Yeah.
Any tips for someone who wants to give it a try?
The video suggests starting small.
Okay.
Even just 5 minutes a day can be beneficial.
Right.
And don't worry about making it perfect or grammatically correct. The important thing is to let your thoughts and feelings flow freely onto the page.
That sounds manageable. I'm definitely going to give that a try. What else does the video suggest for incorporating vulnerability into our daily lives?
It encourages simple practices like deep breathing, gratitude journaling, and mindfulness to boost emotional strength.
These practices help maintain a positive mental state and manage stress,
Right.
so they build a strong emotional foundation
Yeah.
that supports both your personal and professional life.
Those are all great tips.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, beyond the immediate benefits,
Yeah.
what does the video say about the long-term impacts of developing emotional strength through vulnerability?
It paints a pretty compelling picture of what's possible.
Okay.
It suggests that over time, you might experience improved relationships, higher self-esteem, and even greater career success.
That's amazing. So embracing vulnerability can lead to positive changes in all areas of your life.
Absolutely. And perhaps most importantly, the video emphasizes that emotionally strong individuals are better equipped to handle life's inevitable challenges
Right.
and recover from setbacks more quickly.
It's like building that internal resilience
Yes.
so you can weather the storms
Yeah.
and come out stronger on the other side. What a powerful message.
That's a great way to put it. It's about developing an inner strength that allows you to navigate the ups and downs of life with more grace and resilience.
I'm already feeling more empowered just thinking about it.
Good.
I'm sure our listeners are too.
Me too. And it's not about becoming invulnerable.
Yeah.
It's about learning to navigate vulnerability in a way that empowers you.
That's a great way to put it. And the video emphasizes that this process is,
Yeah,
it's ongoing.
it is.
There will always be new challenges and opportunities for growth.
Absolutely.
But with each step you take,
yeah,
you become more resilient and emotionally strong.
you do.
I love this idea of vulnerability as a catalyst for transformation.
Me too.
It's so much more empowering than the old cuffing up and hide your weaknesses approach.
I agree. And I think this video offers a really valuable roadmap for anyone who wants to explore their own vulnerability and tap into that inner strength.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought-provoking question that kind of builds on what we've discussed today.
I'm all ears.
What if, by embracing our vulnerabilities, we not only unlock our own potential, but also inspire others to do the same? Imagine the ripple effect they could have.
That's a powerful thought. It speaks to the idea that vulnerability can be contagious in the best possible way.
Right.
When we're brave enough to show our true selves, we give others permission to do the same.
Yeah.
And that can lead to a more authentic, connected, and compassionate world.
I couldn't have said it better myself. So, to our listeners, we encourage you to explore the ideas presented in the video. transforming vulnerability into emotional strength.
It's a good word.
Challenge yourself to rethink your relationship with vulnerability and see it as a source of strength rather than weakness. You might be surprised at what you discover about yourself and the world around you.
I think so too.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
We're out.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep embracing your authentic selves.